Hello.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Ancient Warfare Answers. We have had some questions from you, the listening Ancient Warfare enthusiast, if that is what we're going to call you. And so the questions that we've got to ask, there's two for Jasper and two for me. I'm asking Jasper the first one, which is, why was Roman Republican citizen cavalry so poor?
Oh, well, I think the trick was they weren't actually poor; they were all rich. But that's probably that's not the meaning they were going for, is it? But is this their reputation? It's like their reputation is these guys are just rich kids who have to serve in the cavalry for 10 years, and then they go on and have a glorious political career. And therefore they're really just they're really no good at what they're doing, and they get smashed. And the smashing part is probably the reputation I think they've earned because of their achievements or lack thereof at the beginning of the Second Punic War. They get defeated at Ticinus, at Trebia, likely at Trasimene, but they're not. I don't think they're mentioned very much. And of course, Cannae. And that's where they get their reputation for being not very good at what they're supposed to be doing, because they get chased off by the Carthaginian cavalry. Carthaginian cavalry comes back, smashes the Roman. Well, we all know that story. They're the sort of the hinge of the Carthaginian formation that allows Hannibal to smash that Roman army into tiny little pieces. But if you look at the entire Republican history, then you should at least say probably that their reputation for being poor is not deserved, and you might say they're actually pretty decent. The reason they do so badly at Cannae, especially, is because of those earlier battles. In the earlier battles, they get caught out. It's just clever tactics on the part of the Carthaginians that allow them to defeat the Roman cavalry. And by the time of Cannae, the Roman army has been raised anew more than once. So the cavalrymen who are at Cannae are part of a new army. They probably, a lot of them are inexperienced. They indeed don't know what they're doing. And then they get attacked by a very much larger number of Celtic and Iberian cavalry, and get almost obviously they get defeated. But if you look at their achievements elsewhere or at other times in the Republic, you see that they've been doing quite well. Against Pyrrhus at Heraclea, they seem to certainly hold their own. Until Pyrrhus releases his elephants, who scare the Roman cavalry off because they're completely new. Similarly, very much earlier at Lacus Regillus, the Roman cavalry was decisive. At Magnesia, they also do very well. So there's quite a few examples where the Roman cavalry actually do quite well. And then, of course, at the end of the Republican era, around 100 BC, in all the reforms that go on in the Roman army at the time, the citizen cavalry disappear. And that's been held up as evidence for, well, they weren't very effective, so let's get rid of them. But in the century beforehand, they'd actually, they performed quite well. So probably result of social political reasons, as a result of social political reasons, that they were I don't know, disbanded is not a good way to say it. They just weren't raised anymore, and the Romans find good cavalry elsewhere.
But they still remain equites, and they, just to confuse us, the equites become political and blah blah blah.
And they just become, and always have been, the second richest class Roman citizens. And they still, if they go and have a military career, they still get reserved in a certain direction. but no, they're no longer serving as equites on the battlefield. So I think it's more nuanced than they just were bad. It's good tactics. Tactics make a difference. Numbers make a difference.
Absolutely.
And you see that the Romans adapt too. I mean, as a result of their experiences, or either as a result of their experiences in the Second Punic War or during the Second Punic War, Polybius says that their equipment gets upgraded from what probably used to be unarmored, fairly lightly armed cavalry to much more heavily armed cavalry in the Greek style.
I mean, and they also
those guys to Magnesia.
They feature on the Pydna monument as well.
Yeah. And
so they must have,
in armor.
So it's that idea that they were clearly performing, just maybe not emphasized in the sources, for instance. But it's one of those things.
And it's odd. And of course, they're always mixed, and we don't always know which nationality of cavalry that we're talking about is. Because Campanian cavalry originally had a very good reputation. So, and the rich kids argument has been used to say, well, they can't have been very good because they were just rich kids. You could also say, well, they would have been riding horses since they were young.
So
they
you get the same for the native Greek cavalry, the Athenian cavalry and the Spartan cavalry. They're rich kids riding horses, but there you go, nuanced.
Yes, nuanced. If you want to read about Roman cavalry and cavalry in ancient warfare, you could do worse than read Phil Sidnall's book War Horse: Cavalry in Ancient Warfare. A lot of the examples I looked at this morning, because I couldn't find Phil's book at home, are from Michael Sage, his book, The Army of the Roman Republic, from the regal period to the army of Julius Caesar, which is a very comprehensive overview of the Roman army.
Nice.
I think that's it for today.
There you go. Thank you for joining us on Ancient Warfare Answers. We'll see you again.
Bye.